And we're back with more exciting adventures of the Incredible Hoax. I am Chris.
I am Mark.
What is that the ring?
Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
Is that the inscription on the ring?
Yeah, one ring to
In
rule them all.
Elven, Elven, however you say it. Oh, hear all the words. You're the Hobbit. Lord of the Rings got elves too. So today we're doing the football thing, right?
Yeah.
So today is the Tuesday after week 1 of the NFL. I know a lot of y'all have said you're going to boycott the NFL. And if you chose to do so, cool. But we watched it because we're going to watch our teams pretty much regardless, I think. And I watched both of the teams, which are the Dallas Cowboys and the Tennessee Titans. And you watched them as well?
Oh, yeah.
So what is your hot take after week 1 of the NFL?
You want to start with the Titans?
Winners first.
Winners first. They're on the road. It's nice to get a road win. Anytime you can get that.
Place to play with all that thin air.
Yeah. It was closer than it should have been. I don't give props to the Broncos. They had some speed on defense.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't pushovers by any stretch. Nice, good week 1 challenge. And just a tough night for our kicker. Not a great way you want to start. But he overcame it. It was almost fate that he was going to have that chance to redeem himself.
Yeah.
And he was able to pull that out. So it was a bad story, but ended up having a happy ending there. So good. Hopefully he's got that out of his system and, onward and upward. But I thought overall the team responded well. It was a good week 1 overall effort. I'd like to see them their offensive line kind of take more control earlier in the game, but it was clear in the third quarter they were wearing Denver down. So I think those things will come. And I thought there was some good pursuit and pressure that the Titan defense put on Denver. So that was nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of a pressure by committee, but that's fine. I mean, that's kind of the way they want to do it. And that if that's what works for you, and it clearly is, I'm happy. I'm happy with the W, and no major problems did I see week 1 for the Titans. So
the kicking,
yeah, other than the kicking, of course. Other than a concern there, of course, defense and offense look pretty solid.
Yeah,
almost a carryover of last year.
I thought Denver was without Von Miller, and they rallied very well without having Von Miller there. But having said that, they said they have spent 60% of their salary cap goes to the defense.
Mm-hmm.
So they've put a lot of money on that defense. And I thought that defense looked pretty good.
Yeah.
It looked like a pretty good defense. Jarrell Casey is a former Titan on that line.
Mm-hmm.
They just got a lot of talent on their defense. So I thought that talk about Denver more in Tennessee right now for some reason. But anyway, I just felt like they just were a good defense, and that is a hard place to play with the thin air and stuff. I say all that about the defense to say that at first I was like, gosh, maybe I overthought the quality of our offense. But, you take those 10 points that Gostkowski, or however you say his name. I don't know how you say his name.
Yeah, Steven Gostkowski?
Gostkowski, whatever.
Anyway.
Steven, the ones that he missed, you take those 10 points, put them back on the board, we pretty much coast to a victory. It's a different game, but you can't.
Yeah, the game would have had a different complexion.
Yeah. But so I was a little concerned that their offense struggled. The running game really struggled, but eventually it wore him down, and he ended up with over 100 yards. But it took a lot of carries to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I think offensively, the bright note for me on the offense, other than just grounding and pounding, we were able to do that. But like Tannehill, he had this great year, and he led the league in passer rating, and he had this comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
But you never know if that translates to the next year. And I've kind of hold my breath to see if he's really the answer quarterback for now. And he played pretty good. I mean, he was with control and
Yeah.
held his own in the pocket, and he had good zip on the ball, and looked like he made good choices overall. So
And he made some gutsy runs that got first down. So
he's the one I've been kind of like, because I know the skill positions we've had. That was one of the problems with Mariota is we knew we had the skill position in the line.
Right.
Why were we not performing better? And it was Mariota was the problem.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and you don't know if it's going to carry over with Tannehill. Apparently, I think he is going to carry over. He'll be pretty good. Defensively, we were without Adoree Jackson. We were without our middle linebacker Evans because he had to get himself kicked out of the game early. That was dumb. So I mean, we had to rally pretty good on defensively, and we anyway. Long story short, it was a really, really, really sloppy game that we normally would have lost, but somehow or another we won this one.
Yeah.
So I took it as a good sign that a typically nasty, unorthodox Titans game ended up being a win. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Usually we lose those, but we won this one.
Well, they became a team last season in the second half. Their rep was a tough-minded franchise. They really got tough-minded, had these gritty comebacks, and you kind of saw that again last night. And again, just that tough-mindedness. Game is close, keeping their poise, not panicking. When honestly they had reason to, bench a kicker if they wanted. You could have totally saw it, especially after that extra point got missed. You totally could have seen him going over and saying, "Look, you're done for the night." But they stayed together as a team, even with a player who was struggling, and that's I don't know. There's something impressive about a team that is really taking on the personality of their coach. That tough, no nonsense. Just keeps fighting and grinding away, and I like that. They've really kind of taken on this Vrabel mentality, and I can see it. And Tannehill is that kind of leader. He's just he's not going to throw for 400 yards in a game, but he's going to be gritty, and he's going to, if he has to run 5 yards to pick up that first down, he'll do it. And so I kind of like it. We're scrappy.
Well, I thought going into this season we should be that one of those, we should be a first round first round of the playoffs bye. I think we're good enough to be a 2 or a 3 seed in the playoffs. I think Chiefs will end up being the 1 seed, and they'll probably end up at this point they look very good to repeat. Having said that, I think Tennessee, I think very well could end up being that 12-win type of team. I've thought all along that as long as they didn't lose games like they won yet this week. So, they won one of the ones they need to get checked off in the win column.
Yeah.
That they usually would lose, and that's the reason why they end up 9-7 all the time, because they would lose these sloppy games. So, if they're going to be that 12-win team, which I think they can be, you have to start turning the tide, and you check the box on these games. And so they did that, and I thought that was an encouraging sign. Sloppy, definitely this is not how you want to win every week, but
no.
I'd like to see us versus Jacksonville be a little more conventional and win it like 35-17 or something. Be a little more. That'd be nice.
Well, lest we forget too, there was no preseason, so we all knew. I think week 1 was going to be sloppier than usual, or at least sloppier than what we're used to. But anyway, it'll probably be week 3 before everybody looks like they're kind of running on all cylinders. But we'll see.
Side note: Brady looked horrible, bad. I thought Brady looked bad. He looked mortal to me. Did you watch it?
I did watch the we're talking about the Saints and the Tampa Bay Bucks game.
Yeah. I know you look at the Cowboys, but just a little quick diversion.
Yeah. Well, you finish your thought.
I just thought he looked terrible. He looked mortal. Looked mortal to me. I didn't see the when
Interesting.
Manning and went over to the Broncos from the Colts. It was like right out of the gate. It was like, wow, man, this Manning still got it. He was like impressive. He was slinging it, and I'm not seeing that with Brady. I don't see the same zip, and I don't see the same poise and zip, and just obvious quality of play to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you see it differently.
Well, first of all, Manning was a much younger man when he went to Denver.
Well, don't run my point with facts. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I think that if Brady ends up having a bad year, he's still the GOAT. It's like, guys,
of course,
yeah. So that's the I guess the big picture take. But but for week one, it clearly looked like a quarterback who was not on the same page with his receivers yet.
Mm-hmm.
They were certainly out of sync. There was one. No, I take that back. There was at least two plays I remember watching the receivers just flat out quit running their route. And
that was one of the interceptions.
And it was one of the interceptions, and I was like, why did you stop running? So
that was our big boy Mike Evans too did that.
They'll clean those things up, but they're out of sync and all that. So we're not used to seeing Brady and those kind
of our cameras trying to focus.
Yeah, what's
the camera like just like Brady trying to find
what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is some rust between Brady and the receiver. Well, I don't think it's rust. I think it's just newness for
they're all getting on the same page, and
But I mean, and those are facts. But it's just kind of fun to see the. It's fun to see the guy who's always kicked everybody's ass get his ass kicked a little bit. I'm sorry.
I knew it was going to happen too. When he lost that game, I was like, there's so many people who have been waiting for years for him to just show some more. He's mortal. Yeah, show your mortality, so I'm not surprised that there's a number of people who've been kind of jumping on that wagon, but that's fine.
Well, it just gets. I mean, that's one of the blessings and curses, I guess, the NFL. I mean, in this modern era we've been, I guess, the post 2000 era is you've had Breeze and Manning and Brady, and then Favre, then retro Rodgers, and then you've had like this cluster of quarterbacks just dominate.
Yeah,
if you didn't have one of those, Roethlisberger, if you didn't have one of those, you were effed. You were completely effed if you didn't have one of those.
Yeah.
And
if you weren't 7 or 8 franchises that had these all-time greats who are going to the Hall of Fame, you just didn't have a chance. And that went that way for about 12 years at least?
Yeah, it's been that way for a while. And so now that's starting to get changed, where you got a new era coming in with Lamar Jackson and
Patrick Mahomes
and whatnot. Yeah. I mean, it's good. Yeah, nice to see different teams – do different things now. It's just, Jesus. I mean, it's not personal. It's just God enough.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like Roethlisberger. I mean, Monday night, here it is. What? How long has he been in the league? 15 years. Like another Monday night where Roethlisberger has a big Monday night and wins the Monday football game. Oh, gee, that's so amazing! Yay! I mean, how exciting that. Unless you're a Steelers fan, it's just like, well,
Yeah, and Pittsburgh's one of those teams that is like the last 20 years, they've won like some insane amount of number of their opening games. Was it like 95% or more? It's
like their Monday night record is like crazy.
Yeah, it's way up there. So
it's just, I don't know. I'm glad to see a changing of the guard. It's just, if Brady has even a mediocre game, I'm probably going to over celebrate it. But speaking of mediocre game.
Well, lest we forget, Drew Brees was pretty solid.
Yeah.
So we don't want to miss another future Hall of Famer who's certainly great. He had a solid game. So look out, Saints. I think they're probably the class of NFC.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs are probably the AFC tops. So
it'd be a hell of a Super Bowl.
If I had to predict Week 1 Super Bowl, I'd say probably Chiefs Saints.
It's early yet.
Would be my early prediction, but
it's early yet.
Long way to go.
It's early yet, but yeah, if you just said, "Hey, you got to pick somebody right now," that would be my pick. They look.
Yeah, they look like they're going to both be hard to beat.
So speaking
Cowboys,
of, yeah.
and whatever that was.
So you're the big Cowboys fan, really, of the two. You take the lead. What do you think of that game?
Sometimes I wish there was another word I could invent besides disappointment, something stronger, because that's what I feel. I feel like the game, the team that was on that field was still a Jason Garrett team. They making poor decisions on fourth down. That's a Jason Garrett thing.
Uh-huh.
So just kick the ball. And will the metrics or what are the analytics that say we go for it there? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I understand kind of some of that to some point, studying that before you go into a game. But when you go into a game, I expect you to, as a coach, to understand the way that game is going.
Yeah.
There was no need to go for that there. Just kick the ball and take the three.
Yeah.
And it didn't make sense to me, and does not make sense that he would pull a stunt like that, because the rewards are – well, the downside's so bad if you miss the kick. Let's put it that way. The downside was greater than the upside.
Yeah.
So just kick the ball. So a little disappointed there, Mike McCarthy. That's a Jason Garrett thing. And for the love of God, 21, feeding. You know, I didn't see enough feeding of Zeke Elliott. So, and then once again, I saw a defense doing a bend but don't break defense. Yeah. And guys, you're just – if you're going to have a team put together where you're okay with them being not that talented as a defense,
yeah,
and giving up regularly 24 points a game, then your offense has got to be kick-ass and needs to score at least 27 points or more.
right.
So this offense clearly is not doing that under Dak Prescott. So I'm not happy today.
Well, I think they made the comment during the game, which I agree with. I guess it was Collinsworth said that, and I did agree with it. They built a defense to just control a lead with all the pass rushers and stuff. So that I think their mindset was our offense will get up at 30 points, and then put the other team in a position where they got to throw it all the time, and then we'll pass rush them really hardcore, and then we'll be able to control the game that way. And then if you get into a middle of the ring slugfest,
right?
You're not really built for that. And I feel that the Rams are probably better than we thought they were going to be, at least defensively. I thought their defense was like pretty good. I mean, Jalen Ramsey and Sam Darnold, say his name. How am I drawing a blank on his name? The tackle, the lineman, Sam Darnold, right? Yeah.
No, that's a quarterback for the Jets.
Well, it was Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald. Thank you.
Yes.
Drew a blank on his name. Aaron Donald. I mean, just monsters. They were really good, really, really, really good defense. I mean, they got a good defense. So I think that their defense was probably better than we figured on. Just as an NFL fan, not so much a Cowboy, like for that game, for instance. But anyway, I don't know, man. I kind of felt this is a feel. I can't back this up with facts. So this is a feeling thing. I still feel like I felt with the Cowboys probably since forever, for a long time, 10 years, we'll say. Like, they're just not tough, and they feel kind of just not tough. Not like they're kind of like generic, boring, no real identity. I felt that way for quite a while, and I still feel that way. Like, I want to feel that change, and I don't know. I don't know what needs to happen to make that change, but they feel generic-y and not tough. They're not soft, but they're not tough either.
Well, I'm probably one more loss from getting to this place where I feel like this team reminds me of that Wade Phillips Cowboys, where you had so much money. They spent so much money on upgrading the offensive line and the offense. They had, Terrell Owens and, and other – I can't remember all the players we had back then, but we had really invested heavy there to put up. We were Romo friendly. We were going to throw up a lot of points and everything like that. Well, when we did not do that, we'd lose games. If Tony Romo and company weren't able to get 28 or more, we were screwed. And it got to be where they were not. They were underperforming. And you look at so much money that they've spent on at our receiving positions. They keep claiming we have at least maybe not the top offense, but like in the top 3 offense. It's like if that's true, how come we keep struggling with and we're getting pushed around by defenses who are playing well, but we ought to be regularly threatening these.
Nobody fears the Cowboys.
Nobody fears us. We ought to be threatening every drive. And where's the deep plays? The 2 that we got called back because of pass interference.
Mm-hmm.
One was late in the game and very questionable. But you put yourself in that position where you failed in so many other stalled drives that you left it to very late in the game to have one last rally, and you didn't pull it off. So where's all this money going? Why are they underperforming? That concerns me.
Well, I don't know. There's an identity. I still think there's an identity crisis. I mean, I look at go down the list of teams you fear, and it's because they have a certain identity. Why do you fear the Patriots? I mean, even without Brady, I mean, you don't want to play the Patriots. Why? Because their coach is so smart, and that they'll schematically, or is that a word? Is that a word for football? Schematically, from a scheme point of view, they're going to be hard to beat. Even if it has all the players, he's going to think of some wrinkle that you don't think of. So you fear the Patriots. You're like, oh God, what's Belichick going to throw at me? So they have that identity. The Minnesota with Zimmer, I mean, they got a pretty tough mentality. Seattle is like, wow, that's one of the most aggressive teams under the Pete Carroll.
Sure.
They're like really, really, really aggressive team. They really punch you in the mouth on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Cowboys are what? Like a country club. They don't beat the crap out of you with Zeke.
No.
They don't maul you. I mean,
and they've been doing this for
like an arena team or something.
At least 4 seasons, and apparently going on a 5th, where they beat the daylights out of the really crappy teams. Like, okay, fine. And then when they play teams like the Rams, teams are playoff caliber teams, they do not play well. They do not rise to the occasion. And, that's for me has been the identity of this franchise really the last 5 years is an underperforming.
It's a bad identity.
Franchise, and that's not good. And Mike McCarthy's there. And he was the guy I was lobbying for the job. I know it's one game, but I'm disappointed. I don't mind telling you. I was expecting more of a statement than a 4th and 3. Let's go for it when there was no need to do so. I mean, that was the kind of stuff that got Jason Garrett fired.
Well, maybe it's one of those deals where it's like kind of like Tennessee when they brought in when Mike Mularkey was when they parted with Mike Mularkey, it was because he wouldn't change the coordinator. They brought in and they went to the play. Remember, they went to the playoffs and they advanced. They lost to the Patriots in the second round, and they removed Michael Mularkey as coach, and they brought in what's his name? I'm gonna draw a blank on names tonight.
Was it Wisenhunt?
No, they brought in the guy we have now.
Mike
Rabel. Why am I struggling with names tonight, man? I must be wore out. I stayed up late last night watching that game. Brains fried.
We're on fumes from.
I really am on fumes. I had to go run around the whole county, 2 counties today. So anyway, Mike Vrabel came in, and I thought, okay. We went 9-7. Mm-hmm. We had a wild card win on the road. We went to the Patriots. We lost there. Let's take the next step. Let's get 12 wins. Let's win the division. Let's get a first round bye. None of that happened. We didn't make the playoffs. We were 9-7 again. And I was like, this is disappointing as hell.
Yeah.
And of course, year 2, his he won't announce it again, but we, one game short of the Super Bowl. And I think the identity finally took there in the home stretch of the season. We finally, that last month and into the playoffs, finally that identity sort of like grabbed a hold. I hope it didn't take that long for Mike McCarthy, but maybe it's one of those things. But I understand your frustration because I just went through it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Mike McCarthy got that Super Bowl out of Aaron Rodgers, and hopefully he can do it. I don't know, man. I've got my reservations about Dak. I've had my reservations about Dak since even the year one when he was on fire, and I've voiced.
Sure.
I'm on tape. I'm on a show here somewhere. I was like,
yeah, you were concerned.
I'm not so sure
Yeah.
he is what y'all think he is, and I still don't know if I'd pay him money. I still don't know. I would do exactly what they're doing. Is like, we'll give you the franchise tender, but that's it.
Yeah, I
agree with their approach there.
I support their approach. This needs to be a prove it year, because he has not played well against playoff caliber teams.
Yeah.
He has not beat them.
No.
His record, if you just look at the stats, look at his record against playoff caliber teams the last 3 seasons, abysmal. He does not win.
Right.
And often in those games, he wouldn't show up to the second half. You don't beat playoff caliber teams by just playing, 1 or 2 quarters. You need to show up and play 4 quarters of excellent elite football. And if you want to be elite, that's what it takes. And I want him to be the guy. I'm rooting for him to be the guy.
Right.
We need him to be the guy. But I'm starting to doubt that he is the guy. The system that Jerry Jones has put together, and I don't agree with it, but this is what he's done. He's created a team where it's very like subpar to mediocre defense. As you say, a defense that's just built to kind of control a lead, just do enough to slow down the opposition.
Yeah.
But the offense is built to score like 28, 30 points a game, really be a high-scoring offense. That's where all the money is.
Like the Colts, the 2000s Colts.
And he wants those stars there because they sell more jerseys. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
Offensive players sell more jerseys, so we understand why he's doing it. And if you're trying to follow the 2000s Indianapolis Colts format, Peyton Manning is a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He's a lock for the Hall of Fame. So if you're going to do that, you got to be sure your quarterback can actually give you that 28, 30 points a game. And it goes back to your Dak question. I'm not seeing it. I think he has talent to get there, but for whatever reason, that step is not being taken.
Yeah.
I've been on record for at least 3 seasons saying I see a solid quarterback who has like a Kirk Cousins type ability, and that's fine. But you have to have a team built that complements, a Kirk Cousins type of guy. They're built to like, no. We're expecting this guy to play elite and get us. In other words, they're really leaning on him hard. And if you're going to lean on a player like that, which fairly or not, if that's what you're going to do, then he has to be elite, and that's what we got to see.
Well, I mean, this is not fair game to play. What I'm about to say is not fair, but I'm going to say it.
Okay.
So Dak is doing what he's done with the Cowboys, and like I can't take anything away from him. He's had whatever success he's had. But you take Deshaun Watson and take Dak out and stick Deshaun Watson in, brother, y'all are like you're all of a sudden like that. You guys are like a force to be reckoned with in the NFC,
right?
And like you're getting a first round bye in the playoffs and shit. Like
sure.
you're good. So like my point is Dak's good, but he's not. I don't think he's that elite level top guy. I'm not even sure he's the right guy. Period.
And it's not to say that he can't still take that leap.
Yeah, I want him to.
And we want him to, because there have been players who are in the Hall of Fame, and there's a player who's going to go to the Hall of Fame that's still playing who took that leap in his 5th, 6th year. I'm talking about Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Early in his career, he played respectable, but no one saw like elite whatever. But when he went to the Saints, he took his game to the next level.
Yeah.
He made that leap. And I don't know about Dak.
I don't know, it's all about, it comes back to feel to me. And these are things that can't be proven. I can't give you facts and stuff, but I don't get a feel for when Dak is like, I'm watching an elite quarterback. It's just not. I think Deshaun Watson, like, they took away his best receiver, so that didn't look good Thursday night. But so I mean, you take Deshaun Watson, like, and put him in similar circumstances, like, you could feel an elite play from him.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I can't tell you how. It's a feel thing, and I just don't get that vibe from Dak. Don't know how to explain it. Like Mariota, like, I wanted him to, but he just didn't.
Yeah,
he just didn't.
And he's got, like, people will say, well, he on paper, he has arm strength and he's got mobility. So on paper, it looks like, well, this guy should be able to play at that league. Well, there's a list long of people who had talent, but that their game just didn't translate to the NFL. And that's what's so curious about it. And it's a unique position on the planet. So few people can play at that level and be great. And so the Cowboys need to know this year, to wrap this up, we need to know this year if we feel like we've got the guy.
It's early yet. That was a road game as an opener. No preseason. It's early yet. The jury's out. So to be fair, like, it's just
it's one game,
fair.
And
just put to judge everything yet.
But I would ask Jerry Jones.
It's fair to ask questions.
I think it's fair to say, look, if you at the end of the year we look at this guy, it's like, well, again, he's a solid quarterback. He's at that Kirk Cousins level. Mm-hmm. Then you go into the off season and then you build the franchise correctly then to be able to handle that, which means a dominating defense for the 100th billionth time. Dominating defense, priority one. How long I've been preaching about that?
Forever.
If Romo would have just one season, had a dominating defense, maybe we would have went to the NFC Championship game. I think we would have. And the man they just kept leaning on him to do everything, and they're making the same mistake. We'll let Dak do everything.
Yeah.
But guys, you can't lean on a guy like that.
It's just the Jerry.
With a crappy defense and expect to win. I get so tired of that.
It's Jerry Jones. I'm gonna use Jerry Jones' own words against him. I thought that every year we had Troy Aikman, we had a shot to win a Super Bowl. Like, think about that, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, on the surface you can say, well, he just thinks that highly of Troy. I think he genuinely. I think it means it literally. If I just got Troy Aikman to have any knuckleheads around him, we got a shot. And it's like, well, you had like how many Hall of Famers on that the Jimmy Johnson Cowboys build, and how many like amazing players were on it? 4 Hall of Famers I can think of off the top of my head. No, 5 Hall of Famers. Just off the top of Haley, Aikman, Emmett, Urban, Allen. They're probably missing some. And then you had others that were like should be or should what it could be.
Yeah, we're waiting on Darren Woodson. Darren Woodson should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame.
Dion was another one. So Dion, you had to put Dion was on that third Super Bowl. I guess that didn't count. But anyway, there was a hell of a lot of talent on those teams. But I think Jerry meant literally, well, if I just got Troy Aikman, I'm going to have 10 rotten corpses out there with him, and they'll have a shot. I think he meant it. I think he thinks that now. Well, we got Zeke and we got Dak. Well, we should have a shot.
And that's what's scary, because that is not a good way to think. That's wrong.
No,
that's wrongheadedness.
Maybe a whole team.
It's like you just put all your eggs into one basket, meaning one player. That's a foolish thing to do. By God, how many defenses that were great ended up winning like these Super Bowls, and these great offenses, that would struggle when they got to the big show against the better defenses, and
my only answer to that is Trent Dilfer has a Super Bowl ring.
So
that's my only argument.
There you go.
That's all I argue.
Because their offense was crap. All they had was one long play to Shannon Sharp, per game, and apparently
And
that
they
was
could-
enough.
And they could run Jamal Lewis. Was his name Jamal Lewis? The running
Um,
back. He was he could take a lot of pounds.
Yeah, he was there at the time, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he was like a rookie that year. He was a rookie that year.
Yeah, he was
So they could just
tough runner.
Jamal Lewis was a really good runner. He ended up having 2,000-yard season.
Yeah.
And he was just tough. You could just pound him like 40 times a game. He could take it. So that's just all he did.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Pound.
Yeah.
One on D. Don't make mistakes. The Super Bowl ring. So Trent Dilfer, who should never even be in the same room as the Super Bowl ring, has a Super Bowl ring.
He sure does.
So speaking of people who get all the rewards and they don't deserve them, that too.